Thank you to the Toastmaster of the meeting, Tasha, for that very generous introduction. And yes, 18 years in the Toastmasters is a long time, and 18 years, yes, you are eligible to become a father. Old enough, definitely. So I'm going to talk about selecting a topic this afternoon. And before that, I imagined at the end of this session, all our members here, and especially our speech crafters, you're going to walk away energized and a formula that will help you get started with crafting any speech or any talk that you have been invited to. So for all our members and especially the speech crafters, let me ask you a question. If you were invited to a talk at an engineering company, what are you going to talk about? Open your chat and leave your answers there, especially all the speech crafters. What are you going to talk about? You've been asked. Imagine you're already a professional speaker and someone has asked you to speak at a lunch for members or for employees of an engineering company. What are you gonna speak about? Let's see. So, Tasha says, I have no idea, not an engineer. All right, excellent. I'll answer that question later. How about the rest of the speech crafters? Okay, managing mental burnout, excellent. And I suppose Putirino, that's your expertise. Yes? All right, Rona Wasti says, how to deliver a speech using layman words, not too many jargons or technical words. All right, Puti says yes. She's an engineer. All right, so she knows what she's talking about. Excellent. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? The rest is just going to show up without preparation because you do not know what to talk about. And ladies and gentlemen, after being a Toastmasters for 18 years, even established Toastmasters, when you ask them, can you deliver a speech? Do you know what's the first answer they'll tell you? I don't know what I'm going to talk about. No idea. So today I'm going to put that to rest, selecting a topic for your speech. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to share my slides. So when you go up on stage, as Maya has shared earlier, it is not about you. The spotlight may be shining on you, but you are going to deliver messages, but that's not about you. You can talk about yourself, but it's about the message. And this message must be related to what you talk about. So if you're talking about yourself, right, some achievement, then it must have relation to that message you want to give to your audience. So imagine this, it's not about you. So who is it about? When you go up to on stage to speak, right? It is about your audience. So you have to ask yourself, who will be listening? Who are the members of your audience? What do they know? What might be new to them? And one of the most important thing that I always ask myself is, what do your audience care about? What are their interests? And what are their needs? What are their problems? You should answer those questions before you select a topic, before your speech or your talk. Now, as the Toastmaster of the meeting mentioned just now, all right, she will have no idea she's not an engineer. So Tasha is not an engineer, so she doesn't know how to give a talk if it's an engineering meeting, all right? So then what can you talk about? Well, you know some topics, right? So I'm going to answer that in the next one. So number one, you have to know your audience. Think about your speech as a gift to the audience. Now, number two, then you got to know your interests. What are you good at? What do you know well? For example, the easiest is, what expertise do you have? What skills do you know? What are your interests? What are your hobbies? So those are the topics that you know very well because you are good at them, right? So then what Tasha can do is if you're invited to talk at an engineering company, right? So you do not know any engineering technical topics, but what you do know as a Toastmaster is you know about communication, you know about leadership, right? And you can ask the organizer, are the engineers their employees? Chances are they will. So you can talk about career. Like, for example, 3 tips on how to succeed as an engineer in any corporate. So that could be a topic that you can talk about. Because if you're Toastmasters, you know about communication, you know how to give feedback. As a leader, you know how to resolve conflicts. So those could be the 3 topics that you can potentially present at the talk, right? So I'm going to ask you, spend 30 seconds for all the speech crafters. Can you list down what are, number 1, your hobbies, number 2, your expertise, and number 3, what you know very well. All right, so all the speech crafters, list them down. So traveling, Ronawati says traveling. And by the way, Ronawati, thank you very much for having me on your speechcraft. It's an honor. All right, anyone else? Speech crafters, I didn't see anyone yet. Okay, gaming, cooking, excellent. All right, anyone else? Now, things like gaming and cooking, drawing, you may be saying, hey, you know, what has it got to do with giving a speech? Well, you could talk about, for example, how did I get good at drawing? Was it some lessons about being persistent, about practice makes perfect? So those are very valid topics for speeches. And it's the same for cooking as well. How do you get so well? Did you learn from someone? So if you learn from someone, then the lesson here could be you need to have a mentor. You need to have a coach. It's the importance of being a mentor to succeed in life, right? So you could present your speech in that way, right? So you don't have to bring your pots and pans on stage and start cooking, not in that sense, okay? So that is about your interest because it's important you talk about things you know about, right? And if you're not an engineer, do not go on stage and an engineering company start using AI to research about engineering topics and talk to them. No, it's not going to work. So excellent. And Juwita says, watching movie and reading. Excellent topics. There are lots of things to talk about movies. So for example, what was the last movie you watched? What was the lesson you learned from that movie? And that lesson, how did it impact you? So from that, you can craft a speech out of it. Okay. So for example, I love to watch Marvel movies, and the lesson that I learned is good will always prevail, right? But for good to prevail, there's always hardship, right? So I can talk about speech about overcoming obstacles, okay? And the lessons you learn from your superheroes. Excellent. And number 3, so this is a 3-part formula. The last one, your message. Your message to the audience is your gift to the audience. So you have talked about your interest. What is the message? The message is, for example, it could be your purpose, could be to entertain. So then it has to be entertaining speech. If you want to talk about an informative speech, then it must contain all the relevant information. But if it's an inspiring speech, then it has got to have a message that inspire, right? So for today, my message to you all is I'm going to give you, right, a 3-part formula that you will take home that will help you with selecting a topic. And that gift that I want to give you today is called AIM. All right. Number 1, you have to know your audience. Number 2, right? List down all your interests, your expertise, your hobbies, your interests, what you're good at. Last but not least, what is your message to the audience? If it's inspiring, it could be something like, if you want to succeed, you have to have a mentor. All right, so expound on that message. Give them something to take away. So what's my takeaway for you all today is M, A-I-M. All right. So M is my formula for all the speech crafters selecting a speech for your topic. Remember, A for audience, I for interest, M, and what is the message that you want to deliver to your audience. So with that, I conclude my talk here. Now, for our speech crafters, you have started on a journey. There are things that you want to accomplish. And I say this, if it's an achievement or something that you do not have before, then you have to do something that you have never done before as well. All right. And in this case, it could be public speaking. And I think Maya has already undermined the importance of public speaking for you. So with that, remember M for the top fellow speech crafters, and I will see you there. Back to you, the Toastmaster of the meeting, Tasha.